I'm Richard Gearhart, founder of Gearhart Law, a full-service intellectual property firm specializing in patents, trademarks, and copyrights.
And I'm Elizabeth Gearhart, not an attorney, but I work at Gearhart Law doing the marketing, and I have my own startup.
Welcome to Passage to Profit, the road to entrepreneurship, where we talk with small businesses, entrepreneurs, and discuss the intellectual property that helps them flourish. Today we have a special guest, Paul Metaxatos. He's the founding partner of Motiv and a product development expert. So lots of great information coming your way on that.
And then we have the founder of the Transformation Factory, who was also on Shark Tank, Alexiou Gibson. He has an incredible consumer product, and we're going to let him tell you all about it when it's his turn. And then we have our returning guests, Kevin and Laurie Lane.
Offenders, yes.
With Create a Castle, which is selling like hotcakes. We can hardly wait for their update. So stay tuned.
I guess this is really our consumer product show, right?
It really is.
Yeah.
So it's better than consumer products for the holidays.
What could be better than that? So, but before we get to our distinguished guests, it's time for IP in the news. And Elizabeth, you picked this one out. It has something to do with food, right?
Bacon. Bacon, but fake bacon for those of us who can't eat real bacon.
Yeah, it's spelled B-A-K-O-N.
So Thrilling Foods actually got a U.S. patent for the world's first fat-streaked plant-based bacon. So I do feel like there's a lot of misconception out there about whether or not you can get a patent on food. Well, they did. So yes, you can.
Right. I mean, that's a great point. Lots of times people ask us, can you get patents on foods and recipes? And there's this rumor out there that it's not possible. But of course, it's just like anything else. I mean, whether you want to patent it or not is another question. But if I had plant-based fake fat-streaked bacon, I think I would certainly considering patenting it. So
yeah, so I think that's pretty cool. And I think it is pretty original. It says it has its proprietary use of protein-bound fat layers that alternate with ultra-lean meaty layers. And the company's use of natural umami flavors found in certain proteins. I kind of want to try this.
Well, you're probably the only one, because why mess with something that is already amazing? I mean,
it's a little
when
thing
you can
called,
have real bacon, why would you have plant bacon?
It's a little thing called cholesterol, my dear.
Yeah, well, there are some things worth dying for, but maybe our guests will have a different opinion. Welcome to the show, Paul. And
thank you.
What do you think about this plant-based bacon stuff?
Wow. I had some plant-based sausage last night, now that you mentioned it, over dinner, and my three girls and my wife all had various sort of feedback on it. Was that really quite right? I thought it was good, but I don't complain when my wife makes me dinner. So smart guy, right?
Smart guy.
Right. You may get real food next time. You never.
That's right. Right.
You never know. So, Alexiou, what are your thoughts on this, dude?
Well, maybe I'm a little biased because I've been plant-based for 4 years now.
Oh.
And so to piggyback off of Elizabeth, you have cholesterol, you have carcinogens, you have all of these things that you probably wouldn't want in your body for a long period of time or consistently. So I'm a big fan of finding things that remind people of the toxic foods they used to eat, but they still get to enjoy it. So thank you, Kevin.
I guess the world is really changing a lot, because
yes,
I mean it even a few years ago. I mean, do you remember that show about the park? What was the name of it?
Park and Rec.
Park and Rec, yeah, with the old guy who was like always eating these big chunks of meat, right? But I guess
it's yesterday.
That's yesterday, huh? So
you're on the hot seat.
Hey guys.
Hey.
It's a question up for us.
Yep. Yeah, it's your time.
I think we live in a world where, there's a lot of vegans, there's people who are more health conscious, and I think that just for people to have. I think it's important. The market has changed.
The market has changed. I guess I feel like I'm the lonely one out here, but Yeah, it's, I guess it depends on the taste, right?
But I really hope the fact that they could get a patent, which helps them block competitors, will encourage other people to do more really good tasting vegan foods or vegan foods. I don't know how to
Right.
say it.
I mean, have you ever had like an Impossible Burger or a plant-based burger or anything like that?
I have to be careful with that stuff because they have a lot of sodium. But yeah, we went to a vegan restaurant in New York, in down near Tribeca, when we went to the studio last summer. It was super good.
Yeah. Yeah, I admit it was super good. So anyway, I guess the takeaway from this segment is that you can patent food, and especially if you're doing plant-based food, it's a good idea. Get a patent on it. So that's great. Thanks everybody for your comments. And now we'd like to get to our guest du jour, Paul Metaxatos. And I've known Paul a little bit. We've collaborated on a few projects.
Yep.
He is a product designer extraordinaire, and he's worked with companies like Keurig, Delta, Coravin, Culligan, iRobot, Butler Home Products, and Vitamix. So he's really in there when it comes to designing the products. And tell us a little bit about your company.
Sure.
And then also tell us, what would your average entrepreneur need to know if they want to take a product from idea to market, if it requires manufacturing and design?
Sure. Okay, great. Two great subjects. So Motiv has been in South Boston for the last 12 years. I have a great friend and business partner, and we have a staff of 20 talented people. And our team consists of graphic designers, industrial designers, and mechanical engineers, strategists, researchers. And then we've got this great network around us as well that supports. So lots of folks that we've known over the years. I've been in this industry for 30 years now. So I've made a lot of friends, made a lot of contacts. So when it comes to entrepreneurs, that's its own interesting lane, because lots of big ideas, lots of vision. There's some block and tackling, as you know well in your business, Richard. Folks have to really sort of establish a basic financial model first in order to be able to go down the path of really being entrepreneurial and developing something. And that's not insignificant, because as you look to scale something, those financial needs just only multiply significantly. So there's really sort of that basic model around what is the seed, and then how is it going to grow from there. What we like to advise people is we like to sort of first get them in and understand it. And the conversations you and I have are really just, that is the foundation right there. So is it chicken and the egg? Is it that the design firm needs to build on this concept to make it more protectable? Or is it that, the conversation with the attorney has sort of set a great foundation for what this product or idea or concept could be, and then it gets built on from there. So it's a little bit of that up front.
Yeah, let me ask you a quick question, though. Something you mentioned that about the scaling. So I always thought that as you scaled up, your costs went down. But judging from your comment, that's not always the case.
Not at all. It scaled well. So you can get benefits and scale once you're in mass production, right? But you're going to have to start with an initial investment. You're going to have to start with an initial design. You're going to have to get that out and build an initial base. And then really the biggest issues, if you're fortunate enough to make that work, then additional capital to grow that capacity. We've got one customer right now. These guys have just done an amazing job. I don't know if you're familiar with Circle Bottle. It's this great method of flavoring water. It's a great concentrate. These guys started about 5 or 7 years ago. We helped them get going. The company's valued at about $1 billion today. Their biggest obstacle is really multiplying that capacity. So they got a great thing that people like it. Now it's how do you invest and how do you bring in the capital to really grow that? That's a great problem to have. That's not the initial problem. The initial problem is the foundational capital. And then getting that initial traction. So, if I were to look at what that one core thing is, it's like you have your big idea, right? And then it's really pivoting around that idea to get that first traction, to get those first customers, those first believers, and really investing in those first believers to really get momentum. And then once you have that momentum, it multiplies. But that's the hardest thing, I think.
So that's really interesting. Having worked with startups in the past, what are some of the things that successful startups do to start generating that momentum?
Yeah. So, I mean, there are various ways that they can enter, whether or not they go to direct to consumer or they go through retail channels. But really, I think paying very close attention to how they talk to those customers, you can make a fair amount of mistakes. You can have actually a product that's even somewhat unreliable, but you could still have customer love. So years ago, when we helped Keurig get started in the retail space, so our work was not to create the K-Cup. It was not to invent coffee as a more convenient beverage. It was really to make a machine for retail that was cost competitive and appealing. And those machines, mind you, are not simple. If you open one up, you'll find lots of hoses and circuit boards and all kinds of stuff. So as you would imagine, new to the world product, prone to some failures. Their ability to talk to those customers early on and say, hey, I'll send you another one. Hey, I'll send you some more coffee. Hey, like whatever you can do. And in fact, build that dialogue. I want you to talk to me. I want you to tell me what you think of my product. There's nothing better than having that level of transparency. Even if there's a flaw, you fix it.
That's interesting. So, what do you think is the most important thing that startups need to know when they're trying to sell a consumer product? Or what's one common thing you found that they all struggle with?
Yeah. So for one, consumers are very fickle. We can go around this room today and none of us like the same stuff. We can drink the same beverage, it tastes different, eat the same food, and we have our own experience. So, and that's where you really have to have a reasonably broad appeal to get scale. There's a lot of great ideas that have sort of niche channels, but really figuring out if you want to grow it into something very large, that figuring out where can you sort of maintain what that edge is that you have, but get that broad appeal. So really sort of understand that audience and figure out how you fine tune what this offering is so that it can transcend sort of generations and other things and gets the broadest audience. That's not to say that focused products aren't successful. It just really depends on your desire for scale. How big is this thing going to be? If it's mass market, you have to really sort of go after sort of that middle of the road taste to some degree, but elevate it to the degree that you can inspire. And that's what your brand does. It brings something extra.
So, along those lines, I went on your website and saw you've taken some products and redesigned them to look very, I don't know, appealing, much more appealing to the average consumer. So, how
Thank you.
important, yes, how important is that design? I mean, obviously,
well, I'm certainly biased. The look is really important, right? People are attracted to product. It's your things that are mundane, right? We do coffee makers and toasters and blenders and faucets and all those kinds of things. And in your day-to-day, you make decisions on these items based on how they make you feel. It's like eating food, right? You eat good-looking food, you hope it tastes good, but there's appetite appeal, there's product appeal. So by and large, given two products, one that's more appealing, one that's less appealing, you might be inclined to pay more for the more appealing product to a degree. It's got to function well. It's got to not fall apart. But that's how a lot of innovative products get out there, because people are always looking for something new and something interesting and something inspiring, especially with really mundane products in the day-to-day. These are attainable luxuries. We're talking about products that cost, by and large, 59, 69, 79, $100. After that, you're starting to talk about, for middle America, that's just a bigger conversation, and given the recession today, I mean, these are items, so you really have to pack a lot of appeal into a small package. Now, that being said, we do a lot of much more expensive products as well, and that's a different audience. But for mass market, it's a lot of appeal and a lot of value.
Well, that's why Steve Jobs was such a stickler for
Details.
design for details and the look of the product. And if you
That's right.
compare the way phones used to look, and I'm talking about back when they were landlines and they were ugly things, right? I mean, but they're very functional. And he went and changed the perception of the phone to be something that was nice to look at, had some aesthetic appeal. And and all of Apple's products fall into that category. There's a real attention
They
to
do.
design. Whereas there are other electronic products that look functional, but they're not as pleasing. And I think Jobs did a great job because he took something that is inherently complicated, like a computer, and made it look simple, right? And
That's exactly right.
yeah.
Well, so for our consumer products presenters here today that are going to go on after you, their products don't really lend themselves to a lot of splashy different design. Can their packaging help them?
Absolutely. So it's again this appetite appeal. It depends on how you're buying it. So if you're buying it online, you're looking at imagery of it, and we do a lot of that work where our branding and graphics team will photograph or render things in a certain way, in a certain light that really gives it the best appeal. But strictly from a packaging, so the shelf sells, right? You walked out an aisle, and then what catches your eye? It's the color, it's the form factor, it's the messaging, and keeping it simple, but not too simple. So an Apple box is terrific, but in a crowded shelf where there's lots of messaging, you have to have a certain amount. In an Apple store, it's perfect. It really depends on the environment. So we look for both, and we look and develop both the structure and then also the messaging and the imagery. Really think a lot about what is happening in that space, what is happening in that category, what are customers looking for. And there are all kinds of trends, just like you mentioned in products. There are all kinds of trends in packaging in terms of how that imagery is presented, and then how that messaging is presented, and then what is the message. And you got to be mindful that keep it short, keep it succinct, keep it focused.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, I've had Apple products, but I hate their packaging. Just I do. Everything is over packaged, and they hide stuff in little corners of the boxes, so you have to, dig through it. And I'm thinking that at least some part of the price is devoted to this. And I'm
It
sure they
is.
did focus groups, and I'm in the minority on that piece of it. But there are so many now, stereo products and whatever. They're like it takes 15 minutes to actually get the package open and find the product, right?
Well, so the pandemic, it sort of drove a ton of people online. They drove a lot of people to buying product where the out of box experience was, and even before then, and what you mentioned about Apple really sort of talks to that. But by and large, the way people shop today, the brand experience is when you open the box. And so it's a fine line, to your point as well, like how much or how little, and what is that experience as you're sort of introduced to the brand. You open a box, and so let's take that out of the box off. I opened it up. Now, what is that? How am I spoken to? Do I have a quick start guide right in front of me as the first item I get? What is that packaging? What is that material? I don't want foam. I don't want styrofoam. I want something that's eco-friendly. I want something I know I can easily get rid of. I want something, to your point, I want to get to the product, but you have to ensure that first experience is going to be amazing, because you only get that one chance, right?
Now I understand. So these shipping things are meant, because I'm not buying this in a retail store. They're trying to bring the retail experience to me when I open the package. Well, I don't like shopping retail either, so I guess they miss on both counts there. But all right, well, that, I guess I understand now. I still, and it definitely makes more sense. So.
And it's that opportunity to have that experience, right? So there's both that eventual experience, but then really there's the introduction. And we do a lot of work in that space, and it's about the personality. What do you want to get across? So it's a pretty broad message that can be tailored.
And on the other hand, now a lot of Amazon products are packaged the way I like them, in that it's just a box in a plastic bag, and that's what you get,
Right.
right? and so,
Well,
and
it's the
so
anti-brand.
it's the anti-Apple, I guess.
But I feel like
That's right.
packaging makes a huge difference. So the holidays are coming up. If I go Christmas shopping and I go through the perfume and makeup department of Nordstrom at our local mall, the things that are packaged beautifully or the eye-catching ones are certainly going to attract me more than the ones that are plain, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's really, there's eye tracking. I mean, there's complex research that's done. We do quite a bit of it ourselves in terms of presenting consumers with these kinds of propositions and really vetting their responses. You can really tell how people are shopping if you look at the shelf as well. I mean, it's designed in such a way so that there's material in an area where we want to present a certain kind of brand and message, and above and below. So there are a lot of complexities to the way that's presented to the consumers. A lot of information to process.
That's great. So we need to take a break. We'll be right back with more Passage to Profit right after this.
Well, welcome back, listeners, to Passage to Profit, Road to Entrepreneurship. Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart are your hosts. And with us today, we have Paul Metaxatos, who is the founding partner of Motiv, a product development company. They do a lot of different things. It's really interesting. We've just been talking about the importance of how your brand looks and your packaging. And now we're going to talk a little bit about engineering. And our other two presenters on the show have both been on Shark Tank, and Paul has had clients on Shark Tank, so we may touch on that.
And we've
too.
had clients on Shark.
And we've had clients on, so Shark Tank gets around.
I guess
It does.
They need a lot of content.
They do. They do.
So, Paul, what is going on with manufacturing? So we are taping this in the middle of November 2022, and we're hoping supply chain problems have resolved themselves. But what is going on right now?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I would say it's improving, but it's not all there yet. There's been a really interesting cycle that's happened, and I can speak towards the high volume appliance category, which is the area that we do a lot of work in. And for a period of time, obviously there was just everything was locked down, right? So you had stuff that was quite stalled. And now what we're seeing is that on the inventory side, people have it. That stuff was shipped. It's in inventory. They're trying to sell it. So there's a little bit of a challenge there because the consumer demand has dropped off a bit. When it comes to the actual manufacturing of newer stuff, really, there's still some ramp up on chip shortages that we've seen. Smart folks in the development space will have contingency plans in terms of how they develop product that may utilize some different materials. So you start with a bill of materials around what you intend, but you may have some contingencies for certain chips and things like that, based on the changes in pricing. So we've done some of that work with our customers where we may have designed it a certain way, and now we're seeing where things are going, and we'll now change that design. It may alter the functionality. In fact, you all may have seen this out there where you go to buy a car and it says, well, that's been deleted, that we're not doing that feature anymore. You can't have the heated steering wheel because we don't have the chips. And so part of that is really a need in order to develop a product that you can actually get to market and sell.
That's really interesting. So
yeah.
How does the engineering process for a new product work?
Okay, wow, great question. So first we start with what the idea is, and then we start with, so again, there's this core concept, whether or not it's an entrepreneur that comes to us or whether or not it's an ongoing entity. And then we look at to understand the feasibility of it. And that's really the first stage. It's like, is this thing actually possible? And before, you could conceptualize what the visionary thing is. And a lot of times we'll do that, so as an example, our friends at New Milk who went to Shark Tank, they came to us and said, we want you guys to help us develop our appliance, our high volume appliance. So first we had to develop a show car. And that was an idea that it sort of looks around like this. It's about the size, but that's really a visionary. It's not the fully functional piece. In parallel, you do feasibility, and that's kind of a rinse and repeat cycle where you'll build the first one, you'll sort of play out how it might work, and you really make a rough. I mean, if you saw some of these products, they're really ugly. I'm talking about nuts and bolts and screws sticking all over the place. We have lots of them here. That's what we do at our studio. We'll start with the first pass, and then we'll make a second generation and a third generation. And as it gets refined, it gets better and it gets more functional. Sometimes you run into a wall, in which case now you've got to pivot. So the goal would be to get to that show car and fit everything inside, but you may have to alter. And most of the times, if you've ever experienced seeing a show car at a show, the final car that you buy is not the same car, right? It's got windows, it has a roof. And so, there's you got to create a vision, and then you have to move through the technical feasibility and the development in order. And that could be a very lengthy process. We're talking a year, 2 years, 3 years. If it's something that involves multiple streams, like if it's take a Keurig, for example, right? There's a cup of coffee, the pod, and then there's the machine itself. Those are actually two complete products that need to work together really closely. And they have to be made in such a way that they work really well, really often. Right? So you can't have failures. So that's a lot of development, a lot of trial and error, a lot of testing that goes into that sort of thing.
So did Keurig, for example, and maybe this is confidential information, but is it typical for people to put products out on the market to kind of market test them before finalizing the design? Is that typically part of the process if it's complex?
Well, so there's a product that we just developed with a customer. In fact, there's one right here. It's the Blue Shift Wellness Bottle. And that product was just launched direct to consumer. And think about it as like a sort of a large scale focus group, right? Because you got to get the product out there. If it's going through your own website, then you can control it, right? You do not want to set an early stage product out through Amazon or Home Depot or Walmart because you can't control it. If you can set it out through your website, then you can actually talk to that customer and you could start refining the product. So yeah, you can tell the customer, hey, this is a bit of an alpha launch, and you really want to delight them. You want to have that engagement with them so that you can then refine the product. Very easy in the software space, right? Because you can just send somebody a fix. A lot harder in the product space. So before that product really does leave your factory or your distributor, you really need to make sure that a lot of things are pretty well thought through.
That's great. We went to a networking function in Princeton last week about this stuff they're calling now hard tech, and which is really pretty interesting because it's usually a bunch of young people and they have these huge maker spaces, and a maker space is really a place with lots of different tools.
Yep.
Like 3D printers and different tools that you could use to make consumer products. And it's really kind of funny how they seem to be like rediscovering consumer products now because of this what they call hard tech. And
Wow.
I'm just kind of wondering if you're familiar with this concept. And I guess the advantage is that there's a community. They all have their different projects of things that they want to build. And
does anybody ever show up at your door with a misshapen lump of wax and say, can you make this for me?
I've experienced actually a couple of those in Boston. Some of the universities here have done certain areas where it's a broad maker space, and they're essentially incubator spaces. So
exactly.
you can basically set up your area. You can lease, I assume, some aspects. We've certainly met with and worked with some companies that were in that space. I would consider our space as a bit of that as well. I mean, it's a maker space in the sense that we make stuff here, we bring people in. It's just not wide open to the public.
Right. So maybe somebody goes and uses a 3D printer at a makerspace, gets a prototype that's very rough, and then comes to you for the next steps.
That would be the start, that they have something, and then it's like, all right, well, let's define what this is going to be, and that really requires thinking through, where you're going, who do you want to market to? I mean, there's a whole marketing play that's got to happen that we help customers with. And then there's the product itself. So, what are your business goals? What are your marketing goals? And then how do we productize that?
Yeah, I think one of the points of the maker spaces is that they want to create a project interesting enough for VC funding. And then after that, after they sort of get the basics down, show proof of concept, show that there's a market, etc., then they go and they look for investment, which is a little bit different from the way the corporate model, which is you have a client, they come to you, they say, we want a new toaster. And, they either do the development inside or they, farm it out to a shop that'll do that for them. Right. So,
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of the purpose of the makerspace.
It is, but that aspect, what you just mentioned, like there's a process there of getting something to a point and then making it believable. And it's pretty interesting because it really runs the gamut. The more complex the product, and if people acknowledge and understand it, the more vague it can be. If it's something that is something you use in a day-to-day, the greater fidelity is expected prior to investment. So,
yeah. Well, this begs the question, is it better to modify an existing product or try to create a whole new concept?
That's
that
a
the
good
market-
question.
I love that
That's a
question.
good
I love that question. Well, here's the thing. If it's a completely new thing, you got to educate on people on what that completely new thing is, right?
Mhm.
And so, if it's got a hook, again, let's just use Keurig as an example. That was coffee. People drink coffee, right? But it's coffee delivered in a different manner. And several companies had gone down this path of delivering pod-based coffee, so it wasn't rocket science. I got another customer, Coravin, and they figured out a way how to extract wine through the cork with a needle. What is that device, right? Nobody knew what that was. It's a device for getting wine out, but I don't have to uncork it. I don't believe it, right? So products like that really require a lot of marketing, a lot of education. Sometimes it's really, person by person. It's really getting out there at retail and say, hey, come here, try this. I need you to really experience that. So that's the real challenge. Incremental innovation has its own challenge in the fact that it's incremental, right? So how far apart are you from something else before it's unique? Take the Revolution toaster that we developed. It toasts insanely fast, but it's still a toaster. It's an expensive toaster. It's a high quality toaster, but it's still a toaster, right? So it identifies with a current need.
How fast does it toast? Because I have to admit, that's something I would be interested in. I'm very impatient when it comes to toast.
Blazing fast. You can adjust it, blazing, and you can actually adjust it on the screen depending on how you could see the toastness that you want. You can actually select the different things. And actually even more interesting is that you can put a panini press in the slot as well. The technology is such that the cycle for it to warm up, the resistance is that much less. It doesn't use any more wattage. Same wattage is just delivered that much. Think about it as a bigger pipe.
So you're giving your toast a jolt is what you're saying.
You are. You're just nailing it.
Intuitive though, because I have this Ninja that does like 8 different things, and Richard is stumbling over there in the morning without his glasses, going, "How do you work this thing?"
Yeah, it's not a toaster; it's like an oven. I know toasters. I don't know ovens.
Ideally, it does something really well. One thing well, right?
Yeah.
You get credit when you buy something when you got the shopper in front of you for a lot of features that gives the perception of value. But at the end of the day, more than likely you're going to use it for 1 or 2 things. But you got to really get people excited about it. It's got to present itself as doing a lot.
But you also, I think you hit on a good point with your toaster. You have to figure out a pain point that exists with current things on the market now. So for this little Ninja oven thing I have, it air fries, all that stuff, it gets to temperature in like a minute. My electric oven on the wall takes 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know how long my gas oven takes because it doesn't have a gauge on it. And that saving that 4 minutes in the morning when you're trying to get ready to go is huge, right?
Convenience. Any product, the number one thing that consumers look for is convenience, right? After that, then there's other features related to flavor and all kinds, but the convenience is really what sells. At least in the US market. There are segments of the market that like, Epicurean and like really things that are very specific and task related, but the mass market, convenience is critical.
Right. Well, I mean, I agree. I want my toast fast and I'm willing to pay for it. But it's something about this world that we're living in where we can't wait 4 minutes for a toaster oven to heat up.
It started with Twitter. I'm blaming
Interesting.
Twitter.
The founders of that company actually owned another company. They were quite successful for them to actually go down the path. And they just noted at their office the line at the toaster. And that to them was a pet peeve worthy of solving.
Right. If you go to a restaurant or you're
Yeah.
roasting your bagel, there's always a line, so or a hotel
Yes, if you go down to
continental
Absolutely.
breakfast
breakfast.
I had the
bar.
little
Right.
thing with the conveyor belt on it. Everybody's
that's-
backed up. I mean,
those things are terrible.
we got to solve that.
We
We're
should
working
bring
on that.
we should get our own toaster and travel with it. So anyway, we have to end the segment, Paul. It's been great. We hope that you'll stay with us for
course.
our upcoming segments. That was Paul Metaxatos, everybody. He's obviously a product development guy, and he's the founding partner of Motiv, which is a great company if you're in the market for consumer products. Definitely give him a shout. How can our listeners reach you if they need to?
Well, they can go to our website. So it's the Motiv, MOTIV, no E in motive.com. And that's really the best way that they could see what we're about. And then send us an email.
Okay.
Sounds great. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, everybody. It's Passage to Profit with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart. Our special guest today is Paul Metaxatos. We just heard an amazing discussion from Paul about all of the intricacies of product development. It's a fascinating process. And if you're an entrepreneur with a consumer product, you need to know this stuff. But now it's time for Power Move. We have Kenya Gipson with us. Hey, hello, Kenya.
Hi there. How's everybody doing?
Hey, Kenya.
We're doing great. So who's up for Power Move today?
Well, for Power Move today, we're going to actually give it to one of my iHeart colleagues, Charlemagne the God. I just was reading in Forbes this morning that Crystal, which is the oldest quick service restaurant chain in the south of the U.S., has announced its brand new celebrity partnership with American radio host and television personality Charlemagne and his wife and business partner, Jessica Gadsden McKelvey. So they've signed on the dotted line to launch 6 franchise locations in 2023, and the first one being in Charlemagne's hometown of Moncks Corner, South Carolina. So Charlemagne is our power move for today.
That's
Excellent.
great.
So these are restaurants?
Yes, the name of the chain is called Crystal.
What do they serve? I haven't heard of them.
That's a good question. Let me see if it allows me to click here. Oh, it's chicken sandwiches. So like those little chicken
Yum.
minis, they look really good actually.
That does sound pretty good.
Yeah.
This celebrity branding thing is just going wild now. Celebrities are branding everything.
On to my startup.
Onto your startup.
So for those of you who don't know, it's a video director of small businesses online. I've hit a snag though. I'm working on my website, but I need to figure out a way to pay for it. So I am starting a side project that I'm not ready to talk about yet, but it's pretty exciting. And I think it's everything I do is tech or media. So it's not a product, but I think it can be monetized fairly quickly. So that's what I need.
Yeah. So starting a business to fund a business is
but one that is a short-term play that will probably go on for a long time, but that can fund the longer term effort. So.
Yes, I know. And it's a subject she's absolutely passionate about. And I'm sure you'll be hearing more about it
and
on upcoming episodes.
But I just want to say we're going to file an intent to use trademark because our son came up with a super good name and then I had to modify it a little. So we came up with a super good name that we know somebody's going to take because we've been out there talking about it too much. I'm like, okay, we got to figure this out. So we have to file the intent to use trademark before somebody
really
steals it.
teasing the audience with this, I mean, they're all like, when is she going to reveal the business that funds the business?
We're hoping our launch is right after Christmas, that week between Christmas and New Year's. That's what we're shooting for. So
okay,
we'll find out more.
All right. Well, great. So
on to our presenter. So Alexiou Gibson with a B, not a P like Kenya, has been on Shark Tank. His company is a transformation factory. And I'm just going to let him tell you all about it. We were talking about it before the show. It sounds phenomenal what his product is. So welcome to the show, Alexiou.
Hey, thank you for having me. Thank you very much. So the transformation factory is the concept came from my own transformation. When I was 19 years old, I was 540 pounds. Doctor told me that I wouldn't live to see 30. And it was definitely the changing point in my life that I really wanted to still be a part of this planet and wanted to make things different. So during the pandemic, I was born and raised in the Bahamas, and a seaweed that very frequently washes up on our shore is called seamoss. Seamoss is something that's very culturally driven. It exists in the Caribbean, as well as the Bahamas, Ireland, dating back from the 1800s. And it has 90% of the essential minerals that our human body is made from. So it's something that culturally we would always take as islanders whenever we had issues with anything from inflammation, fertility issues, or just wanting to build our immune system or to destroy mucus, which is the foundation of pretty much every disease on the planet. So during the pandemic, I was taking care of my sweet grandmother, and she had core mobilities. And if you paid attention to COVID in the news, they pretty much said if you were older or had any conditions, that COVID could potentially be fatal for you. And my grandmother raised me, so she's almost like my mother. And I'm like, there's no way. I got to protect her. I have to build her immune system. And she was a coffee fiend. She would start her day religiously with a cup of coffee. So, I found a way to make sea moss, which is normally very fishy and salty since it grows in the ocean naturally. I found a way to process it in a way that it was completely odorless and tasteless. And, I'd put it in her coffee every morning, and she would drink all her coffee and ask for more, like, why is it so delicious today, and I finally told her what I was putting in her coffee, and she was like, well, I love it. And she had thyroid issues, which was an iodine deficiency, something that CMOS is very rich in. And with the iodine deficiency, her hair was thin. She had, memory loss, all these things. And I noticed very quickly that by putting that in her coffee every day, that her hair was growing. It was thicker. She was more vibrant. She had more energy. Her eyes were whiter. And I'm like, wow. And I started sharing those stories on my Instagram. And I had a few friends that were nurse practitioners that were in COVID units. And they said, hey, I need that stuff. I'm super scared to go home to my kids, my husband. Can I please just get that to help build my immune system? And I thought they were so brave to be out in the battlefield while we were at home on lockdown. So I felt bad even charging them. I said, hey, just stop by my house. Everyone was afraid to even have interaction with each other. So I said I was gonna leave it on the porch in a cooler full of ice. Just grab it, text me when you get it. And we started a hashtag CMOS for nurses, where if you showed us proof that you were a nurse, we got it to you for free. And that's literally how my business started. Within 6 months, within 7 months, we made our first million with that brand. We attracted Shark Tank, and we recently made a deal with Kevin Hart, the comedian. He was a guest shark on the show.
Oh, I
And
love Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
So funny.
yes, he's incredible. He's so business savvy. Outside of his comedic role, he's actually extremely smart.
Yeah.
And Mark Cuban, who was my personal favorite shark always. And today, we are the #1 CMOS brand in the world. We have more outreach and interest in our product than we can handle. So listening to Paul has my ears going on fire. I'm like, man, I can't wait to get on the call with this guy, because we literally need a mass production solution. So thank you so much for having me.
Wow, that's a great story. And what made you suspect CMOS could be the answer in the first place?
Well, because I'm from the Bahamas, it's something that we just used. Most medicines derive from natural plants. I went to school for biomedical engineering, and before I started my business, I worked for NASA. I was a part of the Curiosity rover project that's on Mars right now. So science and technology and pretty much being a nerd has always been my thing. But growing up in the Bahamas, we just knew that certain herbs, even if they were bitter, it didn't taste good, which is most good things for us, right? It was just something that your grandmother would make a concoction of and say, hey, drink this. It's going to knock out your cold. And you drink it, it's like, I don't want it. So sea moss is one of those things that grows in the ocean. So naturally it's fishy and salty and all the things that a a kid probably wouldn't want anything to do with. So I figured out a way to process it where it didn't have any of those flavors, but that I can sneak it into my little sister's smoothie or my grandmother's coffee and still get them those nutrients without them knowing that it's there.
Okay,
So
Alexiou, wait a minute. I got to ask you something. So
yes,
you do not weigh 540 pounds today.
I do not. I lost over 300 pounds, and that was the inception of the Transformation Factory. The goal
So
now is to help. Go, sorry, go ahead.
Did the seamoss help you lose that weight?
Absolutely. So CMOS wasn't a weight loss, thing for me. That's not why I was using it. It's just that it has so many benefits to the body. So specifically for men, it helps to build our testosterone, which the more testosterone we have, the more muscle mass we can build. The more muscle we have, the more fat you burn. It's also anti-inflammatory. Most weight loss is because of inflammation, sugar, starches, alcohol. So if you can get rid of inflammation, it makes it easier to lose weight. So it was definitely a tool. But I worked out a lot. I worked out over 2 hours a day. I watched what I ate. And very recently, in the last 4 years, I've been completely plant-based. So CMOS was just a tool that kind of brought everything together, gave me my energy, stabilized my hormones, attacked inflammation, and also helped my muscles to recover quicker. So I was able to build strength quicker as well.
So you really are the transformation guy. You lost over 300 pounds and started $1 million business. I mean, that if that's not transformation, what is?
I agree.
So Kenya, do you have a question or comment?
Well, first of all, I want to say congratulations on your weight loss. Like that is tremendous. And you just talk so gracefully, like, oh, I just happened to work for NASA. So you're a super smart guy, and it's good to talk to people like you.
Yes.
Question about how you plan to, I guess, what the future of CMOS looks like. Because I take CMOS. It doesn't taste the greatest, the version that I have. I actually use it as a facial too. It works for that.
Yeah.
But just curious to see like what like innovations you plan to have in your business to kind of keep this momentum going.
Yes, great question. Well, thank you for that. Our next thing is, like you said, it's great for your skin. And people ask me all the time, what are you using on your skin? It's like CMOS, And so now we're formulating with food scientists and chemists right now an entire beauty line, a skincare line that incorporates CMOS. So about 65% of our customers are women. And, women control the health and the beauty industry. You ladies care a lot more about health and beauty than we do. And so my goal is to piggyback off of that, give our customers what they want. And you have people with PCOS, you have people with all these different things that cause them to have bad skin, and CMOS attacks inflammation that helps them. So the goal is to I take it very seriously that we're the #1 CMOS brand in the world now, where I take it as a personal challenge and a responsibility to educate the world and spread the message that this even exists. Because CMOS is still very much a culture capped thing. And I want it to be as big as, green tea and matcha, where everyone knows about it. So, we're the ones that's going to make that happen. And the goal is to just keep educating, creating content, partnering with the right influencers, the right partners to spread that message. And who better than Kevin Hart, who's like, he's a rock star.
I know, right?
So what?
Go.
So Paul, do you have any thoughts or comments here?
I got to try it. I mean, yeah, Alexa, we got to talk because I have to try this stuff and I have to see what we can do to help you. It seems like just a very exciting space and a very exciting opportunity where this ingredient can really offer a lot of opportunities.
Yes,
right.
Thank you.
So,
I'm looking forward to it.
Wait, before you go, Alexiou, I looked on your website and we were talking about this before the show. You took this thing, you made it flavorless, but then you added flavors to it and made it a gel that you just can eat off a spoon like you did peanut butter as a kid, right?
Yes, absolutely. So you have the raw, unflavored flavor, which it's really for the strong at heart. And then there's and then there's people like myself and little kids who are picky eaters, and it's like make it taste good for us. So we incorporated with organic fruit, agave, which is a sweetener that's extracted from the cactus plant. alkaline water, and all natural ingredients, no preservatives. We have pineapple, strawberry, banana, dragon fruit, which the kids love because it's pink. It kind of looks like fairy dust in a jar. And we had elderberry, goji berry, and soursop. So we've created a few different flavors. And the biggest comment, feedback that we get with our reviews is, I can't believe you found a way to make seamoss taste good, because
Wow.
it typically doesn't. So, as I hear Kenya talk about, hey, I have it, I know it's great for me, but I don't like the taste. I can't wait to send you an influencer package where you can try them all, so I can hear your feedback on, like, wow, I can actually eat this. This is delicious.
Well, I want to
Wow.
try
So
it too.
what does it taste like with
Yeah.
just like raw sea moss? What does it taste like? And what would be
Well,
the closest thing? Is like
So
a
would
real
it be?
bitter vegetable taste, or
I would say it's an applesauce consistency. The raw would be like applesauce without any sweetness to it at all. It's just very bland, tasteless, and a jello to applesauce like consistency. If you don't process it properly, wash it thoroughly, it can be salty. It can even be
Mm.
fishy in its smell. But our process is so diligent that we remove all of those impurities 100%. And the actual plant, without the salt and impurities and everything that grows naturally around it in the ocean, is really tasteless and odorless. You just have to
Mm.
take the time to really clean it. And that's a process that we take extremely seriously, so that you don't have that taste.
so how do you harvest it? Do you walk along the beach and pick up strands of sea moss that wash up, or how
Yeah.
do you get the sea moss? Or you go out in like a motorboat or something and
Or
start
do you have
pulling
your
it?
own
Yeah.
farms? Do you have CMOS farms or?
Well, yeah, seamoss farms do exist, but seamoss grows naturally in the ocean, a lot of times on top of coral. A lot of fish use it as refuge, build their nests, or use it to hide from predators. It's literally a plant that all living organisms love and can use. To answer your question, at our scale, we would never be lucky enough to be able to pull 15,000 pounds of this stuff off the shore. So,
Oh, okay.
we have divers all over the world. We have divers in St. Lucia, Tanzania, and Africa, Ireland. All of these, the Bahamas, where I'm from, where it grows naturally. You can dive for it. There's also some farmers that will take a piece of it from the ocean and regrow it in smaller oceans that's shallow, where they can extract it easier. So other farmers and different vendors have different ways of getting it, but typically naturally it grows at the ocean bed.
So what are you doing to get the word out? Because this sounds like a miracle product. I'm
Mm.
definitely trying it. So
Yeah,
I didn't know about it till you came on the show. So
yes.
what are you doing? And then I want to ask Kenya what more you could do.
Okay. Well, what we're doing currently, we have a marketing team that runs Facebook ads, TikTok ads, Pinterest, Google. E-commerce is definitely the new gold rush. Everyone has a phone, and TikTok is exploding right now. Is used 3 times longer than any other platform. And the goal, which what we're doing to create momentum and to spread the word, is creating content that's digestible for Generation Z and millennials and baby boomers and Generation X, creating 15-second videos, 30-second videos, educating them, making it something that they want to click and save and screenshot, and spreading the word that way. The second thing is having impeccable customer service, and delivering a product with beautiful packaging. And also, once people try it, they feel the effects right away, most of our customers. And it's now like you don't want to stop because you feel so brolic, you feel like a superwoman, a superhero, and
Mm.
and you feel right away when you stop taking it. So we have over 4,000 subscribers that have us on auto ship because they just don't want to be without it. So that's currently where we are, but we're growing aggressively, and there's so much more that we can do.
Wow.
You know what? We're coming to the end of this, but and I wanted Kenya to say if she had any quick suggestions for you.
Well, I just have an idea, and you may have done this already. Have you ever thought of doing like a CMOS challenge, right? So, in the beginning of the new year, when people are like on this like whole fitness and wellness journey, I think obviously using it consistently helps people. And it
Yes.
sounds like you built like this very passionate community around the usage of the product. That could be really cool, like going into the new year, like setting up some sort of challenge for 21 days, 31 days, and just creating accountability within the network of folks who are using the product and introducing it to other people as well. I would do it.
Yes. Well, Ken, you're right on the money. You sound like my marketing team. There's a spot. But literally, our season is New Year's because, like you said, New Year, new me. Everyone
Mhm.
says that. This is the year I'm going to lose the weight. This is the year I'm going to get healthier. So, this is a part two. So yes, we do plan on doing CMOS challenges and helping people transform. But I've also been filming my 300-pound weight loss over the last 3 years. And the goal is to continue to be healthy and lose more weight. And what we plan on doing is sharing those workouts, sharing those smoothie recipes, sharing the journey and everything it took for me to become a better version of myself so that our 300,000 customer base can now start transforming, becoming the best version of themselves. And then we can share their stories, and stories sell, and it's magnetic and it's contagious. And it's like, man, Kenya did it, I can do it. Alexiou
Okay,
did it.
I'm sorry, Alexiou. We're running out of time.
Yes.
Based on what you just said, I want you back on this show when you hit 1 billion or 500,000 is okay.
Yes, 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 yes.
So one last thing, can animals use it
Yeah, well, yes.
quickly?
So
Yes. Okay.
yes, they can. I
Richard's
have a
gonna-
French bulldog that we put in his food every day, and he buzzes around the house with all this animals.
Okay, yeah, Richard's gonna kill me if I keep going. So
Yes,
so
yes.
people can find it on seamosstransformation.com. And I went
That's
on the website, the different flavors are there. I would encourage you, if you found this interesting, to go, and I can hardly wait to see what Alexiou does in the next couple of years with this. So
thank you.
now we are on to our final presenters who are repeats on the show. They met Kenya on the beach years ago when we first started the show, were some of our first presenters on the show, and they know how to do it. They have just really blown their business out. So welcome, Kevin and Laurie Lane. Please tell us what's going on with Create a Castle.
Thank you for having us. I'm
Thank
going to
you.
pause real quick. I got to go back to Alexiou. He said that I can help grow hair, so I'm in. Take my money, please.
I'll send you a package too, bro.
And Alexiou, your story was amazing,
Amazing.
too. Congratulations,
Congratulations
to you for
on all
your
the success and the health and everything.
Yeah, our son's in school for nutrition and dietetics and stuff, so he's gotten us all into that and everything. So
Yeah, he's
we're
gonna be,
certainly,
he's got new customers.
yeah, we're gonna call him right after the show and tell him.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So,
I'll let you talk about where we're at.
but yeah, so it's been the past month has been the busiest month of our lives
Well,
with
can
Create a
you-
Castle. We started back.
Wait, Laurie, can you
Yeah.
explain what it is to people that may not have heard it before?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So go ahead.
Yeah, Create a Castle is a brand new way to build sand and snow castles unlike ever before. So we're all used to filling molds, flipping them, lifting them on the beach or in the snow. So basically our molds split in half instead of lifting. It's cylinders that could be stacked. They don't have to be stacked depending on the beach you're on. Works incredibly well on any beach or any snow and sand that supports our product.
And the
Wow.
castles that come from it are just amazing. I mean,
And-
they really are like something that came out of a movie.
Yeah, I think what I love most about it is little kids can use it too, but without the frustration, because I was always the littlest one.
And plus they have these
Yes.
little lights for nighttime. That's
Mhm.
so cool.
Tell us what's happened now.
So basically we started back in 2018, or 2017, and then we started selling in 2018, and we won 2020 Outdoor Toy of the Year. So
Live
we
with Kelly and Ryan.
we were on Live with Kelly and Ryan. We kind of it went crazy just from this idea. We decided to go with it, and so it's been very successful. And then this year we also went from being, even though we're not technically seasonal because we do sand and snow, we went to an indoor kit. So we took basically our technology, shrunk it down, and now we sell an indoor kit with molds that also comes with a proprietary sand or snow. So now we are a full year-round product offering as well, which has really helped us. And then about a month ago, we aired on Shark Tank on October 7th. And our lives have not been the same ever since.
Now, 3,500% bump on our website
Yeah.
sales in
Whoa.
the slowest month.
Yeah.
The
We
slowest
normally don't
month.
sell anything in October for the outdoor kit. And this is the first year with our indoor kit, but it was definitely crazy. We did get a deal with Kendra Scott, who was a guest shark that day. Hasn't fully closed yet, so we're still in the works of that. So, but hopefully that'll come within very short time. So we're kind of working on the details, but it's been crazy explosive growth for sure.
And we, in about another week, I'm flying down to Tampa because we are going on HSM with the indoor line.
That's
Excellent.
great.
Wow. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yes.
It's I'm sure it's been a great ride. So being on Shark Tank had a huge impact on
Oh.
your sales. Can you quantify that? I mean, other than a lot, can you say it was like 10 times more, 15 times more?
3,500% bump
On our
website,
website.
600% bump on Amazon. We actually are out of stock out of our lead selling product our Pro Kit, because we literally
Right.
brought the beach to the sharks, as you may have seen.
Right.
We brought 1.5 tons of sand on set, and we had to build the night before. And what that did is it just made our business explode when people saw what I built on national
With
TV
the kits.
with the kits. And what's really fascinating is traditionally video works best for social media marketing. There was one part of the episode or segment where they zoomed in. I built a chessboard down in Clearwater Beach. All I had to do was use that image, because it was burnt into everybody's minds, and put our logo as seen on Shark Tank. Our gross has gone from 1% to over 7% certain days.
For that particular
it's
image.
unbelievable.
Wow.
Well, congratulations on that. And it just shows
Right.
like what the right kind of media exposure,
Well,
like being on Passage to Profit, can do for people.
Well, okay, so again, it's createacastle.com, and you're probably also on the Shark Tank website now too, right? I don't think, and so would be Alexiou's product would be on the Shark Tank website. So that is amazing. I know you guys have put your whole family effort into this and worked your rears off for this. So it's been a lot of hard work for you guys. Do you feel like it's finally getting to a point where you're making money and it's paying off?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
you
It's starting.
Have you thought of changing your last name to Castle as opposed to Lane? Just kidding.
The link up to the castle.
So Kenya, do you have any questions for your I don't know, for your proteges, I guess? I'm not sure.
Oh
that's the
no,
right
they're
word.
definitely not my proteges, but you're definitely two wonderful people who I had the opportunity to connect with. I was actually telling my husband Norris the other day, I'm like, remember the people we met on the beach that were building the sandcastle? I'm like, they're blowing up. So I'm so happy for you guys, and you're going to be able to buy a castle. Sounds like it pretty soon.
So where are your sales now? Are you all over the world? I know you were in Australia a couple years ago, so you were kind of using that to sell during our winter. Where are you now?
Well, we just signed with Tomy International for Australia, New Zealand,
and hopefully expanding out.
So they're concentrating in those couple of areas right now for Tomy. So hopefully that will expand. They literally just got the product like a month ago. So that's all brand new. And then otherwise we're definitely all over, North America, Canada. We're getting a little bit more exposure into Canada. So we're just plugging along, just getting every avenue that we can to get the product out there. And, like we always talk about, the thing we come back to is building it is we literally went beach to beach with the prototype. And that's like how we met Kenya. And that's how we met so many people. And, we just like hit the ground with it. And
it was an incredible guerrilla marketing possibility with this product, because it's so visual. We're literally like building a door on the busiest sections of the beach, not with Kenya so much because there was nobody there that night, but we'll build a door and all the people come to our door knocking instead of us having to go out and knock, and thousands and thousands of people interact.
So I do have to ask you this, and then we should let our guests ask a question. I'm sorry, but are you still unloading the barges yourself and putting them in your warehouse yourself
you
with
didn't
your
talk
kids?
about
Yes, yes, we are. And now our kids are both in Florida, so that's so they can't help us. But yeah, we were supposed to actually have 2 containers that are right now at the port in New York or
They
New
decided to
Jersey,
pull
but
and-
customs just pulled them for inspection. So
Yeah.
we're
Well,
dying for those pro kits. So
Yeah,
please,
we're
please
missing
let
sales
us-
every day.
They think you're
So
hiding
frustrating.
something in the castles. So
Right.
I want to hear what.
Yeah.
So Paul, do you
They're
have
real
a question?
castle.
Yeah. Do you have a question, Paul, or comment, or?
First of all, phenomenal success. You guys clearly nailed it. All the things that I've learned from working with lots of clients over the years, you've done those. One, you're passionate about it. Your product explains itself. You figured out ways to get great media. Certainly Shark Tank is huge. And then you're just living it. And I'm sure everything I described earlier probably resonates in terms of like, you got to talk to your customers. You got to really make sure they're really happy. You got to educate them one step at a time if it's brand new. So I'm just thrilled to hear about your experience.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you got a fellow Greek here too. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm catching
Yasu.
not Lang.
So when you guys started this, though, you started with one basic product, right? And then
Mhm.
Laurie had the idea of the bag to carry it in. And I remember you telling me that. And now, how many products do you have? You added the lights, you added different molds. How many do you have now?
Yeah.
Well, it's about 8 SKUs, but it's basically we just add like different size in the kits, so it's like the same, cylinder
Right.
basic, and then it's just different sizes, and then
more,
now
more parts.
yeah, more parts, and then now we definitely have the indoor line, which is we have a couple different versions of that starter kit, larger kit.
We're launching the starter kit for the indoor line, which would be a $20 set price point. That's going to launch into Target next spring.
Wow, congratulations.
That's
Thank you.
really great. I find your story so inspiring because it has all of the elements of the perfect sort of entrepreneurial happy ending, although it's not ending, maybe it's
Right.
beginning.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's continuing, but you had a great idea and you invested your time and your energy in it, and you built it into something really special. And so I love telling this story or exposing our audience to this story because it shows just what you can do, right? And lots of times projects don't work out, but sometimes they do. And so you've made it happen. So I think they're a great example for entrepreneurs, and I love having them on the show, just hopefully to inspire other people to try the same thing if that's what you want to do.
So I do have to ask you this, you guys, too. When you get this to a certain point, are you going to keep it as a business and run it, or are you going to sell it and start a new one? And how do your kids feel? Like, are they going to take it over? What are you thinking about?
Yeah, they are definitely interested,
Yeah.
in the business. I mean, they're not going to school for business or anything, but, our son has a plan to have, a healthy, like to be the nutritionist for our company. So I guess we need to keep it. And our daughter wants to go into counseling and stuff. She's like, I'll run the HR department. So
Oh,
I think building castles can be very therapeutic,
so
yeah,
they
so
want
we-
Very much.
they want spots in your company, so you're going to keep the company. You're probably not going to sell it anytime soon, then, right?
Yeah, we would like to. I mean, that's the goal, is to just keep building it. We put our, blood, sweat, and tears into it.
I mean, but
So-
look, if we got the right offer, that could change things. But as of right now, we don't have any offers on the table. So we're going to just keep building this monster that it's about to become.
Right, because you
Terrific.
are on the very verge of blowing up. I mean, if you go in Target, oh, come on. I mean, you've made it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Kenya,
you.
any other words for them?
No, I just wanted to say, continued blessings to you guys. It's great to see your story evolve and your business growing. And I'm happy I met you on the beach.
Us too.
Yeah, no, it's been unbelievable. I mean, we wouldn't be sitting here if it weren't for Kenya. So thank you, Kenya, for
Wow.
stopping
Great
in.
story.
Yeah, so we've talked about 2 things that have made you successful. The first one I certainly think is hard work. That is absolute. The second one is a product people want to buy that has a mass broad appeal. So is there anything else that you feel like has really contributed to your success?
It's passion. All about it, it's the passion and the grind, getting out there. There was days, I mean, I drove straight from Florida, straight up, because I had to come home for the kids. They were doing something, and I was doing, shows down there. 22, 23 hours straight drive. You cannot, there is no rest for the wearer. You got to push every single day in a small business. You got to grind. If you don't, you fall behind.
And you got to believe in your product, and you
Yeah.
have to let people know that you believe in your product.
Yeah.
So if you have that passion, and, people say that all the time. We go to events and stuff, and they're like, I just want to buy it because you're so excited about it. So it's like, so it makes a difference.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is critical.
Enthusiasm for your product is really important, I think, and that comes through in all of your communications, not just the one-on-ones at shows, but in your marketing, your appearances here. Every time we meet you, you have new and exciting things to tell us, and we really hope that when you hit your first, billion. You'll come back and join us again.
Don't forget about us.
Hey,
Never, ever.
We're gonna partner up with the Transformation Factory and start brewing some seamoss on a private beach. How's that?
There you go.
There you go.
There's a big idea.
Awesome.
Down.
So thank you so much for keeping us up to date
So
on
it is.
Create a Castle and Kevin and Laurie Lane. And where can they buy your products?
createacastle.com, Amazon, Walmart, Target.
Target's already available on target.com.
Wow.
Just type in Create a Castle into Google. You'll see it everywhere.
Excellent.
Awesome.
So, listeners, you are listening to Passage to Profit with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart, and our special guest today, Paul Metaxatos. And if you didn't hear the stories today, wow. If you want to be an entrepreneur and you want inspiration, listen to the podcast tomorrow. If you want to hear all this again, listen to the podcast tomorrow. But this was an amazing show because it was just people making it through their own grit and their own determination and their own passion. So we will be right back after these messages.
Great.
Now it's time for Noah's Retrospective. Noah Fleischman is our producer here at Passage to Profit. We couldn't do this without him. And he just has a way of putting his best memories in perspective.
I'll never forget the night of my 10th birthday. My mother and I watched Casablanca on the late movie. It was wonderful because she provided all the narration, telling me about Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall, Peter Lorre, explaining World War II, all the detail in the picture. It was great. When it was all done, she said, when I was your age, my mother couldn't show me a movie on late TV and explain about it. There was no TV to show it on. Just think, now we have the internet, YouTube, virtual reality. Any one of us can go anywhere in time that we want for any period of time. It's unbelievable. And what better activity for family night? Mom, Dad, the daughter. Mom can put on the wraparound shades and the headset, spend time in a luncheonette in 1956. Dad can go and hang out in a cocktail lounge in 1968. The daughter can toss on her acid-wash denim jacket, virtually of course, and go to the mall in 1986. Family night. That's what you call togetherness. Until the internet goes down. Then all we'll have is each other.
Welcome back, everybody. Passage to Profit. And now it is time, as we are wrapping up our program, to go through the question. This is a segment that Elizabeth developed. And so why don't you take it away?
So as entrepreneurs, we're always working. I don't know if Kevin will have an answer to this because it sounds like he never relaxes. But the question is, what do you do to relax after a busy day? So let's start with Paul.
My answer is I work harder.
Let's start with Paul. What do you do to relax after a busy day?
Yeah, one of the things that I missed about the pandemic, and you guys are going to think I'm nuts, but I leave my home, I go to Boston, and there's a transition space between my home and my office. And during that time, I generally listen to public radio, and I talk to my family, I call my brother. I find that aspect to be, if I can block out what's going on around me, the traffic and all that, decompression from hard work is pretty critical, because otherwise you just bring it right home. So, during COVID, I was there, and that was a little tougher. And so I enjoy learning, and I find that public radio, and also just communicating with folks is a way to really sort of rechannel your energy, so that when you can enter the family space, or you can enter a different space, you got a different mindset. You just have sort of different thoughts, education, things like that. For me, that just makes a big difference. And then I'll get home and have a glass of wine, but that's secondary after I've had this transition.
Excellent. So, Alexiou, what do you do to relax after a busy day?
Well, being from the islands, I love the water. So I'll go kayaking, jet skiing. But my favorite thing if I'm stuck in my apartment is just listening to music. I have a record player. I'll throw Sade in there, the Fugees, some old school R&B. I love fresh flowers and candles in my house, and literally just zen and complete silence sometimes, and with a notepad and unloading everything out of my brain. So I'm really bit a loner. I
Well,
like
you
to be in
sound
my
like quite a
cave.
catch for somebody. So
Okay, excellent. So, Lori
Yeah.
Lane, what do you do to relax after a busy day?
I actually love to watch the Hallmark Channel.
Oh,
I am one of those crazy Hallmark people that I could sit and watch. Everybody says, well, they're all the same. They end the same. I
was just
know.
gonna say
That's why I'm
they're so
watching.
unpredictable, right? You never know what's gonna happen.
I know, but that's the point, is they all end happy. So that's what I like to sit and watch. So I could sit and that's the way I like to chill out
okay.
with our
What a-
puppies, of course.
yeah, yeah. What about you, Kevin Lane? What do you do?
I like to build sandcastles. Pretty simple guy, and now that I have the luxury of building snow castles on my table without gloves, it's an unbelievable satisfying experience.
I want to try it.
Talk about
Yeah,
doing-
it's-
That does
it's
sound
doing your passion.
relaxing.
If you're
Yeah.
doing work or sort of work to relax, then that really means you like what you're doing.
Yeah.
I
You,
mean,
you
that's
can
how it
even just
works.
you can literally just use the compound. It's a very therapeutic compound, and it's proprietary, so it's a blend of slime and sand. It's kind of a first of its kind.
I came
Cool.
down yesterday morning and he had the entire kitchen table. Thank God our kids aren't home. The entire kitchen table built this castles. And I was like, oh, I guess you were building
Yes,
last
Kevin
night.
was up late last night.
Okay, Kenya Gipson, what do you do to relax after a busy day?
Oh, I'm a big prayer and a meditator, right? I give the whole day over to God, and I, tell him all the mistakes I made and how to help me be better tomorrow.
Don't
So,
make mistakes.
oh,
Kenya.
every day, every
doesn't-
day.
that can't
But
take
it's all
long.
good. He
Yeah.
loves us anyway.
What about you, Richard?
Well, so it used to be that I was watching a lot of TV, and I still like to hit the Netflix channel and just see what's on there. But the funny thing is, we'll turn the program on, and then Elizabeth and I will start talking, and we won't watch the movie. So I guess
Exactly.
the way I relax is by talking to Elizabeth in the evening.
Yes. And for me, how do I relax after a busy day? Well, I do spend time with my cats.
You do.
They are very relaxing. They're very sweet. And we are actually going to start doing yoga. We keep saying it. We're going to make it happen someday.
Right. One of these days. If you can just imagine Elizabeth and I doing yoga, then that should give you a chuckle.
Please don't try to imagine that. I don't want to see that. So anyway, we have come to the end of the show. I would like to mention everybody's website one more time. Paul Metaxatos, founding partner of Motiv, product development expert, www.the-motiv.com.
Pick up the phone, give him a call. He'll develop a product for you.
Alexiou Gibson, Transformation Factory, thetransformationfactory.com. He is giving the world, well, selling, but giving the world seamoss, which is an incredible natural product.
He's the seamoss king.
He's the seamoss king that is really helping a lot of people. And then we had Kevin and Laurie Lane with Create a Castle, createacastle.com. It's a sandcastle, snow castle maker that anybody can use, even your youngest kids. So they get on a little bit even footing with the older kids.
Building castles in the sky.
Oh, I don't know if they do it in the sky, but you can do it in your house now with the indoor kit.
Do it in your kitchen.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. So we need to sign off for this week, but we will return to this station next week with another episode of Passage to Profit. And before we go, I'd like to thank the Passage to Profit team, Noah Fleischman, our producer, and Alicia Morrissey, our program director. Our podcast can be found tomorrow anywhere you find your podcast. So just look for the Passage to Profit show, and don't forget to like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And remember, while the information provided during this program is believed to be correct, never take a legal step without checking with your legal professional. That's it for today, and we'll be back next week with another episode of Passage to Profit.